Hey everyone, welcome back to Detox Learning Series, and today we are going to talk about application testing methodology. In this application testing methodology, I will be walking you through the various testing methodologies that I have been using so far, which gives me good results when it comes to penetration testing or bug bounty. After discussing the initial testing methodology, we will solve some available labs over juice shop to understand that how we can actually apply this methodology in real life. Apart from solving some traditional challenges which are already there, I will also walk you through from a pen tester's perspective that how we start to do a pen test or how we look at a particular application when it comes to penetration testing, mapping out various entry exit points, performing various kind of testing, when to automate something and when to start performing things manually, how to use burp suite efficiently, and there will be a lot of interesting thing in between. So let's look into it. The first thing is the application testing methodology. The first thing is define your target scope. When you are doing pen testing or bug bounty, you should be sure that you are staying inside the given scope. So for defining the target scope, always read the outlines provided by your client or the bug bounty program. So once you know that what your target scope is, now start understanding the application's business logic. Now, the best way to understand the business logic is to start navigate the application as a normal user. So once you start navigating application as a normal user and try to understand their various functionality are there, let's say it's an e-commerce application, you have a functionality to add something to cart, you have a functionality to add something to wish list, you have functionality to buy something, maybe you have functionality to gift something, rate something. There are a lot of functionalities. Understand what are the unique business logic an application is providing. Let's say in our example e-commerce application, you have an option where on every single purchase you will get some particular amount as a gift card value or as some discount bonus or something which will get back into your wallet. Right now the application do not properly perform the validation on these business logic, and as a result I can put an order, I can place an order, I will get credit of that particular gift card, I can utilize that gift card amount. Okay, and now I will cancel my order, and still there will be no deduction back on that gift card amount which I already used. So these things basically financially impact the application, and for application like e-commerce, these are really important security issues. More of security issues, they are logical issues, but you should always look for such things. Prepare a threat map for each and every application that you are testing. So let me tell you what a threat map is. Basically, threat map is a theoretical understanding of the security vulnerabilities that may be found. It is not compulsory that they will exist, but they might exist in the application system. Now let's say again, take an example of e-commerce application. You have an add to cart functionality, or you have a simply a cart functionality. Right now, what an attacker can basically do over here, an attacker can add an item to some other user's cart, delete an item from some other user's cart, maybe read some other user's cart, right? Or maybe update some other user's cart, right? So there are four operations: create, read, update, and delete, right? So this is called CRUD, CRUD, create, read, update, and delete. So based upon the CRUD rating or CRUD attack scenarios for each functionality, we create potential attack vectors or potential attack scenarios. Like an attacker can basically add an item to some other user's card that impacts the C of CRUD. An attacker can read some other user's card that affects the R of CRUD. Attacker can update some other user's card that defines your U of CRUD, and again delete defines the D of CRUD. Now for each and every functionality, like let's say there is a rating functionality, right? An attacker can rate as another user, an attacker can edit the given rating, an attacker can update the given rating, an attacker can delete the given rating, or an update can let's say read the private ratings or private reviews. Now again, these are the potential test cases. The threat mapping gives you a bigger picture of what exactly you can look for apart from the general top 10 issues. Like let's say you are looking for SQL injection, you are looking for cross-site scripting, you are looking for various logical issues. But having a threat map gives you an idea that, okay, there's an upload functionality, an attacker can try to upload a malicious file. An attacker can try to perform a denial of service attack. An attacker can try to say delete or read some other user's file. So there are a lot of scenarios where you will see that, okay, I can do this, I can do that. ultimately giving a very big picture about the potential threat map and potential threat cases. Now, once you have a big chunk of threat cases, you now have a bigger checklist to perform and bigger attack surface to perform, resulting into a better findings in your and happy clients. And if you're doing bug bounty and using this methodology, you can always like have some good security issues in your table. Now, it comes perform a scope based recon. So perform a scope based recon is something that we have already discussed in the last series of video, that how we can perform scope based recon. Let's say you have a single URL, we will consider it as a single scope or small scope. You have, let's say, wildcard URLs, let's say start.target.com, we will consider a medium scope. And you have, let's say, everything owned by the company in a scope, that's a large scope, right? So Project Beam, and there are some other frameworks. So right now, Project Beam is the only framework which supports scope-based recon, and it saves you a lot of time. We have already created an in-depth video defining scope-based recon and how I do reconnaissance in my daily life. So this will help you out for sure. Once you have done everything, you have a bigger attack surface, you have a lot of endpoint to test for, you've done all of the recon. Now it comes for the manual pen test, where you will actually fire up your burp suite and will start navigating the various functionalities and testing for the various security issues. These issues will include your OWASP ASVS checklist, your OWASP top 10 checklist, your custom checklist if you have any, the cases that you evolved from the threat mapping scenarios. So ultimately, you will have a bigger pool of things to check while doing manual pen test. Then perform application specific attacks. Let's say the application is built on the top of, let's say, some client-side templates, like client-side template engines, like let's say built on the Angular or React or something. You should go and try for client-side template injection to find a access-like scenario. Let's say your application is built on the top of Ruby on Rails, so you should go and focus some attack scenario specific to Ruby on Rails. On the same side, if your application is on PHP, try for PHP object injection and try for PHP specific scenarios. Let's say your application is using Spring Boots, try to check if the actual endpoints are available or not. There can be a lot of scenarios similarly that what you can do from those, but always make sure to perform application specific attacks. Learn what you lack and again hit back on the target. This is the essential step, most crucial step, I would say, that whenever you are stuck, whenever you don't know what to do, just learn back where you lack and again hit back on the target. Now, since we already had a quick idea of what threat mapping is, let me again quickly tell you that what threat mapping is all about. So when you do threat mapping, the first step is to quickly navigate the application, navigate all the components and like completely navigate each and every functionality. From there, you will get to know that, okay, the application is, let's say, 10 functionalities and there are various 20 functions and all. List down all those functionalities. Okay, let's say module wise. So cart is a module, your basket or cart is a module, then your item page is a module, your profile page is a module. So divide it that way. Then write the theoretical attack scenario for each function as we discussed a bit earlier. Now, for those scenarios, create possible confidentiality, integrity, and availability, or CRUD, create, read, update, and delete impact scenarios. This will give you a big checklist, right? So when it comes to CIA, this is something that we actually look for while we do a pen test, that what is the impact upon confidentiality. Can, as an attacker, I am able to read some other user sensitive information? As an attacker, is it possible for me to change or modify other user settings or account or something? Is it possible as an attacker for me to basically make sure that the resources requested by a legit user are not available to it, or the application is totally down or something, so impacting the availability factor, right? Again, as we discussed, can I create something to some other user's account? Can I read some sensitive information which I should not have access to? Can I update something which I am not actually having permission to do? Or is it possible for me to delete some resources which should not be deleted by my user or as an unauthorized user? So these are some CRUD and CIA scenarios which you should look for. Once you have a big checklist doing this, verify all these test cases while you perform a manual assessment. So again, navigate the application, list out all the components, write theoretical attack scenarios, and create a checklist based upon CI and CRUD impact. And at the end, verify all those test cases while you perform your assessment. Now, next comes the manual testing approach. This is really important that you understand the application's workflow. If you are not sure how application works or how the application flow is, you might miss a lot of issues. Let me give you an example. uh, there is an input field which takes an input and reflects it somewhere, some at some other point, right? So while you're testing for some injection flows or cross-site scripting flows, you should know that where your input is actually going, right? So you can quickly give a input as a access payload and go to that page where the input is reflecting and confirm if it's actually working out or not. Similarly, in second order SQL injection, you will insert a query somewhere and you will see the resultant query somewhere else. So you should know the application flow, and a lot of times you will be able to break that application flow to do some malicious task, right? So let's say the cart functionality in e-commerce application has multiple flows, that you can go to an items page and you can add something to cart. You can go to items page, add something to wish list, and then add something to cart. So same functionality but multiple flows, right? So make sure that you understand every possible flow of the application before trying to break out the application flow. It's really essential to understand the actual flow. A lot of security issues are dependent upon the application flow itself, that you will do some malicious thing at point A, but it will be reflected or working out at some point B or C or D, right? So once you know the flow, you can always go and check, okay, is it happening that something I'm doing at point A is affecting point B or maybe point C or D, right? So this is how you will try to break the application flow as well. Test every possible test case for each individual function. It's not like that you have tested, let's say, SQL injection or cross-site scripting at one input field, and then you will assume or start to assume that, okay, this is not vulnerable, so might be possible that some other fields are also not vulnerable. This is not always the case. Once you start testing, you have to test every possible field, every possible, even the single field out of 100 might be vulnerable to a particular attack. You never know, right? That how application is built, how the, because you are doing more of a gray box or black box pen test, you are not having much information about how the code is built. So if you have white box approach, if you're having a source code, then you can check quickly that, okay, everywhere the regex is properly implemented, filtration is properly implemented. Now I need not to again and again look for things. Don't miss any test case, even if it's complicated. Let's say you see there's an XML data going on and you are like, okay, I can do XSC, but it's complicated, let it be, right? You will try some random payloads and then you will say that not working, so let me do something else, right? So this is not always going to help out. You have to try every single test case possible. Rely less on the automated tools like automated vulnerability scanners, which are available on the market. Although they might be good, but they will miss a lot of things which your manual pen testing approach will do. Proxy tools such as Burp Suite is a good to go, and there are a lot of extensions which you can use to assist your pen test. Again, they are not to find the security issues, but they are to assist you while you do pen test, right? If you are not sure at something, if you don't know a particular attack, but you suspect that there is a chance of having this vulnerability, go learn it to the extent that you are able to hack it next, right? So this is the manual pen testing approach. Quickly going through back at it. Understand the application flow and find out all the various possible flows for same feature. Once you know, try to break out those application flow and make sure that you test every possible test case, whether it's complicated or not. Less automation tools, proxy tools are good to go. If you're not sure how to attack something, how to exploit something, learn about it and hack it. Now, the next is the demo time, where we will be going and looking at the OWASP Juice Shop, giving a quick introduction about OWASP Juice Shop. It's a vulnerable application which more of simulates a real life e-commerce type of application. There's a juice shop scenario, more of like you can go and purchase juice and things like that. We will quickly see, not from a vulnerable like web application perspective, but how, let's say this is an application which is given to you, and now how you can go and start testing this application. Let's say what are the various attack that as an attacker you will start to perform, how you will do directory brute forcing, how you will do various port scanning and other things, right? So without wasting the time, we will now directly dive deep into the demo where we will look at some of the vulnerabilities like cross-site scripting, SQL injection, business logic flaws, and I will try to cover as much as possible vulnerabilities and try to show that how I basically tend to find the security issues. So let me switch to the application and my Burp Suite window and some other tools. Just allow me for a moment.